Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, life is beautiful because it's filled with God's beauty, His restoration, His redemption, His renewal. God makes all things new, and my life used to be totally miserable, lost in addiction and depression and alcoholism, and God set me free and He made my life beautiful. He gave me beauty for ashes. So this is why I gave up coffee. That's what this video is all about. Why I gave up coffee and how I got to this point. I have always loved coffee. I can remember as a 10-year-old going to Baskin Robbins and begging my parents to let me have the cappuccino blast instead of an ice cream cone because I really loved the flavor of coffee. I loved coffee ice cream. I loved coffee yogurt. Coffee is just a flavor I've always enjoyed. I can remember drinking coffee pretty regularly in high school, but especially going to college, I was drinking 4 cups a day, every single day, without fail. And I can remember when I first learned that caffeine and coffee are an appetite suppressant. So once I found that out, I began struggling with body image and food in high school, and I would restrict calories and stop eating, and I really tried hard to stop eating, and I always wanted to be thinner. And when I found out that coffee was an appetite suppressant, I started depending on it. I also found out it was a stimulant and it gave me energy without eating, so I thought I used it more. I did begin to abuse caffeine and coffee. I would sometimes drink 6 cups a day. I mean, I was drinking a lot of coffee. And I'm going to be really transparent here. I'm going to be totally honest and transparent. Coffee also helped keep me regular. So there are many reasons why I turned to coffee, why I used coffee, why it was part of my life. I liked it, and it served my purposes, or the purposes I wanted it to serve. When I came to Christ, there was a period or a season of refining, and it was about 2 years after I had come to the Lord. First God had to free me from addiction to alcohol, and then He had to begin freeing me from other things. And 2 years into my relationship with the Lord, He called me to lay down coffee, and I started out with a 10-day coffee fast. That's what I felt like God said to do. Start out with 10 days, fast from coffee. And they were hard. They were brutal. I had headaches. I had withdrawals. It was the first time in 10 years that I had gone without caffeinated coffee. And it was very difficult for me. I switched to tea the very first morning that I went to not have my coffee. I had tea. Totally not the same. Went and bought decaf and had decaf because every single morning I have always gotten up and had coffee, and the flavor became part of the morning routine. Having a hot beverage became part of the morning routine and waking me up, and tea did not cut it. It was not the same. So I switched to decaf. And after those 10 days were up, I felt like God said, I don't want you to go back to caffeinated coffee. You're exhausting your adrenal glands. You are, suffering from chronic fatigue, because I would be so tired all the time. I wasn't really eating nutritiously, but I also was drinking copious amounts of coffee, and I was exhausting my adrenal glands and really tired all the time. I just would be so fatigued. I could drink plenty of caffeine and then go take a nap. It's like it didn't even really have that much of an effect on me anymore. So my body had become very dependent. So at the end of those 10 days, I felt like God said, don't go back to caffeine. And I did it. I was drinking caffeinated tea. So I was drinking a bunch of tea instead, which tea isn't quite the same. It has less caffeine. So I had to drink a lot more of it. But I did feel like God was breaking the addiction from coffee. Then 6 months later, somehow caffeinated coffee crept back in. I don't know why I felt like I had liberty to go back to coffee, but I did. And I didn't go back to full strength coffee, maybe I did at that time. Maybe I went back to full strength coffee. But every year during January, because that was October. That was October of 2018. And as God delivered me from my caffeine addiction, he also revealed the root and all these other things involved with my food issues and body image issues and dieting and exercise and counting calories and food fixation. So God was healing me from all of that, and all of that was attached to coffee. God had to get rid of coffee first for me to get healing from that. And so January of 2019, I did a 40-day sugar fast. God led me to a 40-day sugar fast, and that was more related to getting free from my food issues. And if you're interested to know more about that, I have a lot of resources. I'll even link them below. You can message me or comment, but that's a whole nother topic. So every year I did the 40-day sugar fast, and I did it for 5 years in a row. So every year I would give up caffeinated coffee on this sugar fast. So year after year, as I would go back to coffee after my sugar fast, I would feel its effects much more strongly. And so I would reduce my intake. And last year I was at, like 2 tablespoons of caffeinated coffee mixed with 2 tablespoons of decaf coffee in my coffee pot, and having like 3 to 3.5 cups of coffee a day. So fall of last year, I was feeling like God was really convicting me of letting go of coffee in the quiet times, in those moments where you're praying and you're listening to God and you hear that nudge or you feel him speak to you. I was feeling really convicted about caffeinated coffee, and I wouldn't tell anyone. I would just say, okay, tomorrow I'll drink less. I'll drink less coffee. I'll reduce my intake. And there were times where I wouldn't do it. I never would do it. I'll just share this just to be really, really transparent. I have suffered with constipation or struggled from constipation my entire life. And there have been times where I've given up coffee, and one year on the sugar fast, I thought no coffee because I love the flavor. I'm just going to let coffee go. And my body was really stuck and I was really uncomfortable. And so I said, okay, I'll drink decaf, even though I didn't want to on the fast. I felt like I didn't want to do it. I was in so much pain and so discomfortable and in so much discomfort that I decided, and my husband even told me, drink decaf. I don't think God wants you to be suffering this much while you're fasting. I think the point is to let go of things and lay things down, but it was really interfering. My gut was really interfering with my daily life. So I drank decaf, and that seemed to help solve the problem. But that is part of the reason why letting go of caffeinated coffee was really, really hard for me, because physically I had come to depend on it as a diuretic, as something that helped my body, physiologically helped me and made life simpler. So when God was calling me to lay down caffeinated coffee, I was really struggling with it because decaf works, but it doesn't always work the same. Doesn't work as well. It helps, but it's not quite the same. And so as I was praying about this, there's a couple things. The caffeine is something is a psychoactive substance. So it stimulates and changes your brain, your mind. And so it also is a substance you can become addicted to. So as I was going to lay down caffeinated coffee, it was December of last year, 2022. I was going to try it out. I knew I was going to lay it down in January for the fast because I was going to fast. So I was like, in January, I'm definitely going to lay down caffeinated coffee because I do every year and God's faithful. But I'm just going to try one day, and I don't really want to, but I'm going to go without caffeinated coffee. And I had a miserable time. I was so frustrated. I was so angry. I did not go to the bathroom that day. My stomach hurt. And I was like kind of a little girl going, God, why are you asking me to do this? I have laid down so much to follow you. I have laid down so much in my life. Why are you taking this from me? That's kind of how I felt. Like, why are you taking this from me? I don't want you to take this from me. I'm not dependent on it like I used to be. I'm not abusing it. I'm literally just using it to help my body, and I enjoy it. And I heard, this song. I was walking, praying about all this, angry and frustrated, pouting to God. And this song came on that I have never heard before. And I don't really listen to this type of music, but it was called Better King, or You're a Better King, something like that. And the lyrics say, something like, feels like I'm always walking with baggage. I just want to be free. Just look down and be free. And it's like, yeah, I do want to be free. And then the chorus says, you're a better king than I could ever be. Rule over and overrule me. There's also a part that says, who made control look so tempting? Because it's like, oh, I want to be in control, and control can be very tempting to have control. So as I heard those lyrics, you're a better king than I could ever be, rule over and overrule me. It was just like, yeah, God, I need you to overrule me. My choice would be to not lay this down, but if you're calling me to, you're a better king, you know better than me, I need you to overrule me. I need you to override me. I need you to overtake me and overrule me in this area and change it, because this is going to be hard for me. So, and also, after that day, because I was so frustrated that I couldn't go to the bathroom, and I felt like God spoke to me two things. One was, do I believe he's going to heal me? The second was the parable of the disciples fishing. I believe it's in John chapter 20, I think. But the disciples are fishing in the morning, and Jesus says, cast your nets on the other side. And they say, we've been fishing all night. Why are, kind of like, if the fish are going to come, one side of the boat, the other side of the boat, doesn't really matter. There'd be fish in the sea. They should be coming. And Jesus says, cast your net on the other side. So they cast their net on the other side, and they get all these fish, more than they could haul in. It was a lot of fish. And I felt like God said, try again. Try again and believe that I'm going to heal you. I'm going to heal your intestine. I'm going to heal your bowels. I'm going to help you. I'm going to heal your body. Try again. And with Jesus, when we, because I feel like I had tried everything to cure constipation, everything. You name it, juicing, fiber powder, fiber cereal, eating greens, everything you can think of, drinking enough water. I felt like I have tried it and tried it to the nth degree. And I felt like God was saying, try again, but this time do it with me. Because when we do things in our own strength and in our own effort, often we can fail. Often we do fail. But when we do it with God, it always succeeds. When we let him be the one who changes us and do things his way, not our way, do it his way, it always succeeds. So God gave me hope that he would heal me, and hope that he would set me free. So that is part one of what, why I gave up coffee. It's kind of the history. And as you can see, I had a long history with coffee, and it was really hard for me to let it go. But you definitely should check out part 2, because that is really where the power and the freedom and the breakthrough happens.